Hello, class. This is the test one review. This is what it should look like to you all in WebAssign. So I'm just going to quickly kind of run through some of these problems just to kind of, review, and so you guys can kind of get a gist of what's going on. So the first couple of problems are on objective 1, and here in the description and the instructions, make sure you guys read this stuff. This is the information that you need to know. So for test 1, questions 1 through 5 cover objective 1. Questions 6 through 10 cover objective 2. Questions 11 through 15 cover objective 3, and questions 16 through 20 cover objective 4. Okay, so as stated in the syllabus, you have the opportunity to score 25 points for each objective. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in. Let's start. Let's look at number 1. So for 1, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, we are basically, adding and subtracting integers. So these are some things that you could possibly put in your calculator. Just to recap, you can take 13 and add it to 62. You'll get 75. Then we got plus negative 31, which is basically minus 31. So now we're going to subtract 31. So we get 44. Okay. So with the addition and subtraction, of course, we're going to do that from left to right. So let's keep going. For number 2, we have negative 26 plus negative 45 plus negative 12. So because all 3 of these terms are negative, we can actually just add up all of the negative numbers. So the logic behind this, your bank account is negative 26. You swipe your debit card for $45, so it's negative 45. Then you go to McDonald's and spend negative 12. You swipe that debit card one more time. So we're basically adding all of this negativeness, okay? So that will be negative 83. So if you find it difficult to work with adding and subtracting integers, thinking about it in different ways can definitely help. So I think y'all got the rest of this. Let's look at number 4 right quick. So one thing that I need y'all to pay attention on questions like this, when we got negative 16 minus a negative 9, then we got minus negative 18. When you minus a negative, it turns it into a plus sign. When you minus a negative, it becomes a plus sign. What we're really looking at is negative 16 plus 9 plus 18. Okay, so that's one thing to definitely keep in mind in this section. Let's keep on moving forward. So for number 6 through 10, so here we have where we are multiplying and dividing, okay? So once again, these are some things that you can put in your calculator. Some of the most important things that I want you to remember is that when you're working with these integers, pay attention to the sign negative. So here we have negative 168 divided by 12, or you can write it as 12 divided by negative 168, however. But you need to make sure that your answer is going to be negative, because we have a negative number being divided by a positive number. If we look at number 7, we got a positive number being multiplied by a negative number, so our end result is going to be negative. So you will put in your calculator 16 times 12, and you remember that your answer is going to be negative, or you can just put in 16 times negative 12 to get the answer. For number 8, in the same fashion, we have a negative times a negative, so our end result is going to be positive. For number 9, we have a negative, then we have a negative divided by a negative, which is a positive. So this is positive, and this is negative. So a negative times a positive, our end result is going to be negative. So those are some things to remember. Here, looking at number 10, we got negative 6 times 9 times negative 6 times 3. So this 9 times negative 6, we can just write it like this, and we can do our multiplication from left to right. So negative 6 times 9, you can keep your answer in the calculator. You can do times negative 6, keep that in the calculator, and do times 3. So during this video, you all can put this stuff in your calculator to make sure that you are getting the correct answer, so that you won't have any problems with these on test day. So 11 through 15 is on objective 3. So we have to do the order of operations. So in these different problems, you're going to see, a lot of those different things that we covered in objective 3. So for this particular problem, we have to distribute this 9 through, and we have to distribute this negative through, or multiply by that negative. But we also have an exponent, okay? Oh, and we have parentheses, okay? So we got a lot going on. So let's write out our steps. We got PEMDAS. Okay, so first with the P, let's do the parentheses. So let's do the 6 minus 7. So we got 9 times, and we got 6 minus 7. So that is negative 1. Then we have this negative, then we have this negative 8, and then we have it squared, okay? So now let's look at our E, which is the exponent. So let's keep this the same. So now let's do negative 8 squared. So negative 8 squared is positive 64. So we're here. Now we have to do our multiplication. 9 times negative 1 is negative 9. We keep our minus 64. Now we do subtraction, and we have negative 73, okay? So you guys can look at these, work them out, make sure you're getting the right answers as kind of like a practice round. In WebAssign, you do have a test 1 review that you have to complete and submit into Blackboard, as well as the actual test that has to be completed and submitted into Blackboard. So with the test, the questions go one by one. All of them don't come up on the screen at the same time like it does for the homework. And I can see how long you spend on each question. I can see all of that. So if you flying through the questions real quick, that's gonna let me know something going on. So make sure that you guys are really working through each problem, making sure you get the correct answer, and that you're actually doing your own work, that we don't have no funny business going on, okay? So for number 12, we got 17 plus 15 divided by 9 times 6. So according to PEMDAS, we have to do this division first. Remember, we do multiplication and division from left to right. So because the division is first, we do the division first. Then after we do 15 divided by 9, then we take that answer and multiply it by 6. Okay? Then when we get that answer, that's when we do the 17 plus that answer. Okay? So make sure that you guys are following PEMDAS. Now let's take a look at number 13, because I know some of y'all are probably looking like, what? So let's look at 13, 14, and 15. So first of all, let's rewrite it, and let's kind of break it down and just really look at what's going on. So in the lecture, we talked about the fraction part, how you have to do the things in the fraction in an order as well. The fraction is division, true, but we need to simplify the numerator and the denominator. So let's work on that first. So the 8 and the -3, well, that's good. We know how to work with that, but we need to simplify this a little bit. So in this numerator, we have 18 minus 6. So you can figure that out. Then in the denominator, we have 3 squared. So that needs to be figured out, which is, of course, 9 squared. Then we add the 3. So you want to work this out in a way so that you can simplify it. So now that we have our numerator and our denominator, we can write what it is. So 18 minus 6 is 12, and 9 plus 3 is 12. So 12 divided by 12 is 1. So because multiplication and division come before addition and subtraction, we have to do this first. So we can just copy everything else, and then 12 divided by 12 is 1. So now at this point, we can go from left to right. So 8 plus 1 is 9, minus 3 is 6. Okay? So with the fractions, it may look a little bit more complicated, but just follow the same steps and you should be fine. Here, if we look at this problem, notice your exponent. So if we do our exponents, we will have 15 divided by 3 minus, here we got 7 squared, which is 49. Then we have minus, then we got negative 5 squared, which is positive 25. Then we have to do 15 divided by 3, which is 5. So we got 5 minus 49 minus 25. Okay? So when you put that in your calculator, you should get negative 69. For number 15, we have a group in parentheses, and we have an exponent, so we have to do what's inside of the parentheses first. When we find that number, then we square it. Then we do our division. Then we do the addition, okay? So make sure you guys are following those steps. So for question 16 through 20, we are talking about objective 4. So in objective 4, of course, we are, evaluating these expressions. So for these problems, these should be pretty simple. All you have to do is what we call plug and chug. So they're giving us A, they're giving us B, and they are giving us C. So all we do is just plug it in. That's simple. Now, of course, after you just plug it in, you have to follow the same rules of the order of operations. So in this class, everything is going to continue to build upon each other. First, we had to talk about how you add and subtract numbers. Then we had to talk about how you multiply and divide numbers. Then we talked about exponents, all of those different things. Then we went into the order of operations as far as the order that you do all of those different things in that we talked about in objective 3. Now we are plugging in values for our variables, and to simplify, we have to use everything that we previously learned in objective 1 through 3. So let's take a look at that. So let's look at 16. We got 2A. A is 3. So remember, when you guys are plugging things in, try to put parentheses around it to kind of signify that you plug something in there. And it helps if you plug in a negative number so that it does not look like subtraction. So we got 2 times A, which is 2 times 3 now, minus, then we have an open parenthesis. Now, when you are plugging things inside of parentheses, I recommend to change your grouping type. So you may want to change it to brackets. Okay, so the C is -2, and the A is 3. Okay, so we didn't even have a B in here to plug in. So make sure you guys always check. Now on your work, I definitely recommend to write this out, write the original, and then write the version where you plug it in. So you can, see and make sure that you have everything in the right position and in order and all of that good stuff. So we have everything plugged in. Now we can do our order of operations. So inside of these brackets, we need to do -2 plus 3 first before we can square it. So I'm just going to rewrite this. Now -2 plus 3 is +1, and it's still squared. So we still got this 2 times 3 minus. Now 1 squared is 1. Now at this point, our next step in the order of operation process is to do the multiplication. Then we can do the subtraction. So 2 times 3 is 6, and then -1, we get 5, okay? For number 17, same exact logic, But in this situation, we have a fraction. So we have 2 times C is -1. Then we have minus D, which D they tell us is 4. And it's all over negative A. So this negative is a part of our formula or part of what's given, okay? When we plug A in, this is an important reason why we put it in parentheses, because A is -4. So if you just write -4 and you don't have -4, that would be incorrect. So we have to keep this negative and we have to plug in the negative that makes this -4, okay? Then we have D, and this negative AD means it's being multiplied. So I'm going to write another parentheses and have a 4 here. Okay, so we got 2 times -1, which is -2. So -2 minus 4 is -6. And if you need to write the steps out, by all means, please do. If you need to write -2 minus 4, then write -6, please do that, okay? So here we got -4. So I'm just going to write that as a +4 times 4. So you don't really have to write that plus sign, but just want y'all to know that a negative times a negative is a plus. So we got 4 times 4, which is 16. So we got -6 over -16. No, -6 over +16. Then we have to simplify it. So if we divide the top and the bottom by 2, we'll get -3 over 8. So this is in its simplest form, so we are good to go. So if you guys have any questions about this material, make sure that you reach out to me. If you need to book an office hour session with me, please do not hesitate. If you feel like you cannot get through this review, do not go and take the test. Please reach out to me. Let's make sure that you are comfortable with the review before you take the test, okay? So let's look at these last 3. And what I like to do sometimes, this is a little tip for you all, I like to rewrite the expression and put in my where my variables are going to go. So for D, I want to plug in a 2. For A, I'm going to plug in a -1. And for C, I'm going to plug in a -5. So you can kind of create space for it first, or you can do it as you go. Whatever, however, as long as you get to the correct answer. So first we need to do what's inside of these parentheses. Then we need to do our exponent. So 2 minus -1 is the same thing as 2 plus 1. So that's 3 squared minus 2 times -5. 3 squared, of course, is 9. Then we got minus 2 times -5, which is +10. Then 9 plus 10 is 19, okay? If we look here at number 19, we got another one of the fractions. So I'm just going to preset mine. So wherever I see a B, I'm going to plug in 4. So I got a B right here and a B right here. Wherever I see a A, I'm going to plug in -2. And wherever I see a C, I'm going to plug in -3. Okay? From here, it's just, order operations, multiplying positive and negative numbers, adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. So here in the numerator, we have -3 times 4 times -3. And we have 4 times -2. Then we have to subtract 4. So let's take a look at this. So -3 times 4 is -12. And -12 times -3 is positive 36. Then we got 4 times -2, which is -8. So -8 minus 4 will be -12. Now we have a positive divided by a negative, and we get -3. If you try to just simplify this as a fraction, it'll be -3/1, which is the same thing as -3. So if you get a fraction and you put it in your calculator and do the division and get a decimal, then look at the fraction and see if you can just reduce the fraction. Like, find something in common in the numerator and the denominator that you can, factor out. So for number 20, we have another fraction. This is you guys' favorite kind. And what we want to do, we're going to keep doing this little method. Leave a little gap for all of our values that we have to plug in. So everywhere we see an A, we're going to plug in a -2. So that's a -2, that's a -2. Wherever we see a B, we're going to plug in a 3. So that's a 3, and okay. And wherever we see a C, we're going to plug in a -1. Wherever we see a D, we're going to plug in a 4, okay? So, we got A, B, C, and D for this one. So, let's look at our numerator first. We got 3 squared, which is 9. Then we have minus -2, which is the same thing as +2. So, like for number 19, where we just kind of went through everything, you can put this step in if you need to, the 9 plus the 2, okay? By all means, don't skip steps for me. If you need the steps, you need to see what you're doing and how you're working it, please use that because that's going to help you in the long run. If you're good and you got it, then that's different. But I still need to see work because if you feel like you're good and you got it, I need to know that you're good and you got it. So that's why showing your work is important. So show me that you understand, okay? If you go from here to here and I don't see no work, that's telling me that you don't know what you're doing and that somebody else did it for you, that you didn't do the work. So that's why showing your work is extremely important and necessary, because if I feel like you didn't do it, Okay, so let's look at our denominator. We got -2 times 4, which is -8. So for this one, we're going to write all our steps. Then we got plus 3 times -1. So that will be -3, so we can just write -3. So remember that plus -3 is the same thing as -3. So we got 9 plus 2, which is 11. And then we got -8 minus 3, which is -11. So we got 11 divided by -11, or 11 divided over -11. So our answer is -1. Okay? So I hope this review helps you all tremendously. Make sure you guys work through your review. Do your work on paper. Make sure you have that proper heading that is required. Submit the pictures of your review into Blackboard. If you feel great and ready to take test 1, then that's awesome. If not, please reach out to me before you take it. I don't want you guys to go into it and you haven't came to office hours, you haven't asked questions, or you haven't done the review. Please don't take the test before you do the review. Make sure that before you take the test that you feel like you are prepared, okay? So I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And I hope you all do a great job on test 1.